A beautiful lady that has taken over my hairstyle, the short one, and she's doing the most of it. We are a bit late, but we are here talking about issues that matter, of course. And this morning we are discussing the decision by the Electoral Commission of Zambia to deny accepting the nomination papers for BOWMAN LUSAMBO, who is supposed to contest for Kavushi constituency, and also Joe Malanje is supposed to contest for Kwacha by election. Now, you remember that these two candidates had their elections nullified by the courts, I think about 2-3 weeks ago, and today is nomination day for these elections. But yesterday, the Electoral Commission of Zambia issued a statement saying they will not accept the nomination papers for these two candidates. Let's have your say on this very important topic. Of course, it would be better if you were to quote the Constitution, because the Law Association of Zambia quoted the Constitution, and ECZ as well quoted the Constitution.
And I saw governance expert McDonald Jipenzi equally quote
the Constitution. So how is our Constitution?
What is the problem that we are having with the Constitution?
Exactly. You know?
Everyone is quoting something in the Constitution that makes them seem as if they are right, while the other one says, no, wow, you've quoted this part of the Constitution, it says this.
I think one of the Topsis Kalinda, where we are in one of the WhatsApp groups together, he said, you know what, I think it's high time we come up with a constitution that is very clear, in that if it says Prudence Chota cannot do this, it is final. Not whereby you have other supporting articles which say, unless she does this, it will be this. This is what is causing confusion.
Yeah, of course. Let's get to hear what you have to say with regards to today's topic. What is your take and what is your comment? We're giving you this platform to call and give us your opinion. Not opinion, is it opinion?
Yes, obviously. It's just an opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're all over. Opinions are flying out.
Yeah, you've gotten even a little bit of the Constitution. But even if you cannot quote the Constitution, you can give opinion over this particular topic, because we know the the administration has been criticized of being a witch hunt against the opposition.
Exactly. Ever since they attended office, it's been a year of them being called witch hunters. We are yet to prove that as time goes by. However, for now, though, let's go into our first segment. That is the doctors talking to us about medical-related issues. Let's look at this, and thereafter we continue the conversations. Good morning.
Everyone, my name's Dr. Ebedi Sadoki, a public health specialist currently with USAID SAFE. Today, I'll talk about how to treat mental health illnesses. I'd spoken about the triggers, I'd spoken about what it is all about, how it manifests or shows itself, but today, let's talk about treatment. For awareness, I feel like talking about treatment is very important so that those that need it can not be discouraged but seek for medical help whenever they find themselves having some of these symptoms, maybe even early enough. So most of the treatment, if approached early, can be solved with counseling, with professional counseling, sitting down and talking about it, running through it. And there are qualified psychosocial counselors who are all over the country and can help us whenever we need it. And then in other cases, there can be medical treatment, that is having to swallow tablets for the purpose of treating the mental health illness. And for our clients, the mentally ill clients, we need to ensure that we prepare a support system for adherence to medication. They need to have either a close relative or friend who will be reminding them to take these medications appropriately and on time and correctly. So I think for other conditions, maybe other patients can take their medications on their own, but for mental health disorders, because the mind may not be ready to remember and appreciate its importance, there's need for a treatment buddy or a case manager that is supporting the treatment. And then also there's need for disclosure. There's need to disclose that this is the condition and this is how we're going to treat it and this is how it will resolve. And then of course we need to address the forms of stigma that could be around it. Remember I talked about in the introduction that I hope this awareness can help us change on how we look at mentally ill individuals, because we can find that there may be, if I give an example of a patient hallucinating and they've got cerebral malaria. But if there's someone with mental illness and also talking irrelevantly, you find that the other patient with malaria is taken good care of, is tolerated, is supported, whereby the mentally ill individual will be abused, sometimes physically, and they are pushed away, they are not brought close and supported. So it is important that through treatment, this support system is also looked into. So for today, thank you very much for listening. This was Dr. Sadoki with you on mental health awareness. So see you tomorrow when we talk about prevention. Thank you for listening and bye.
There you have it. That was the Doctor's Corner, and the topic this morning was mental health treatment. Remember, mental health has become a serious issue in our community. We are living almost on a daily basis with people living, or rather having, mental health challenges. I emphasized last time to say, when you realize, Sharon, or notice that someone is having mental issues, do not laugh at them. In fact, on the other side, become their helper. You can help.
Support system. We call it support system.
Oh yeah, help them. You can maybe take them to a health center, or talk to them. I don't know if mental health issues can be treated with through having a conversation with someone.
Yes. Yes. Okay. You know, there is I'm a mental health advocate, in case you didn't know.
Okay. Okay.
So I've done quite a number of stories on that. You know, there's just temporary insanity or temporary mental health related issues where you're just going through a lot. When you talk to somebody, you feel relieved. But if you don't, sometimes it just goes beyond, and you just break down. You know, you reach a point of breaking down, and sometimes it takes time for you to be retrieved from that zone of breakdown. And so it's important. I always say you need to be a brother's keeper, you need to be a sister's keeper. When you notice, like you and I here, Prudence, I work with you, I know your attitude, I know who you are. If I notice strange behavior, I should be able to chip in quickly. If I notice you're always quiet, like for me, really, I'm very loud.
Of course, Sharon,
I'm very loud. That's my nature, you know. And then you notice 2 days, 3 days, I'm very quiet. You need to be concerned, like, okay, this is not who she is. What's happening, you know? You find time to talk to me in private, obviously, because when somebody's going through a lot, experiencing difficult situations in their lives, probably they may not want to talk to somebody, but it's important that they talk to somebody. You really need to find a better way of extracting that information for them to talk so that you can seek help.
Of course.
Otherwise, mental related issues nowadays are very real and they're very rampant, and that's the more reason why we're seeing a lot of suicidal cases, we're seeing a lot of gender-based violence. All these things are related to mental, because a normal person, really, why would I start hating you in the first place, you know? Probably at that particular moment, I failed to control my feelings. Maybe I've been harboring bad intentions, you know, and then with a blink of a minute, I just overreact. That also calls to show that my mental stability is not okay.
Not okay.
Because if somebody is really okay, they will be able to reason and think rationally and make informed decisions.
Of course, and the sad part is what we are seeing nowadays is when someone has mental health challenges, the neighbors who are supposed to comfort that person are in the forefront of laughing at them.
Is real. There's just a lot that needs to be done, a lot of sensitization to say anybody is a potential mental health patient. So they say anybody is a is a potential prisoner, you know, because you may just find yourself in an awkward situation that implicates you even when you're innocent. It's the same situation would happen to mental health. Anyone really is a potential mental health patient, and therefore it's important to be on the lookout of people around us and help them come off difficult situations that may lead them to a breaking point. It's very important. Anybody of us can experience that at one time or another. So it doesn't have to be a death sentence. Atuinimento, you know, all these terminologies that we use. Atinimento, I mean, what's that? I've had a mental issue and I've come out of it. Why are you still calling me mental? You know? So yeah, those things that we need to continue talking
about. Of course, I can see how passionately you talk about this thing. Indeed, Chishinka Kwena never advocacy for mental health challenges and issues. But of course, we cannot run away from the fact that we have a lot of things happening in our economy. And one of the things we look at when we come on the breakfast show is the money market. How is it that our local currency is performing against other major convertibles? Having a stable currency, Sharon, is very, very important. In the past, we saw a situation where the currency today appreciates, the other day depreciates. It causes instability in the economy. And of course, having to rely so much on imported goods and services, having a currency that is not stable really has a negative impact on the economy. But of late, we've seen a kwacha that is stable, a bit of stability. We've seen that appreciated now, trading around 15, but we have to see how is it that it is faring today against other major convertibles. I don't know if I told my director, the money market is ready this morning so that we can just see how is it that the local currency is performing against other major convertibles. There you have it. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 15 kwacha, 83 ngwe, and selling at 16 kwacha, 14 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the Great British Pound is buying at 18 kwacha, 77 ngwe, and selling at 19 kwacha, 14 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollars is buying at 15 kwacha, 96 ngwe, and selling at 16 kwacha, 27 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand is buying at 0.94 ngwe and selling at 0.96 ngwe. That is the money market this morning. Zambia kwacha there against the US dollar, at least it is around 15 kwacha, 96 ngwe, selling at 16 kwacha, 27 ngwe. Against the South African rand, buying at 0 kwacha, 94 ngwe, and selling at 0 kwacha, 96 ngwe. There on the South African rand, if you can see, at least kwacha has continued to be stronger than the South African rand. In the past, I think a month now, are we moving to a month?
A month.
Yeah.
It's been trading within that range and it hasn't really moved. It should just be like 0.98. It hasn't really been on 1 kwacha to 1 kwacha. So our currency is much stronger than the South African rand.
Of course.
And these are one of the greatest trading partners that we have as Zambia. You know, it's a land-linked country and we trade a lot with our neighbors, but South Africa being one of the major. And if at all our culture is on the stronger side, then it works better for us.
It does. It does. In case you're asking what a benefit, we've not even seen some benefits. For those who are around Lusaka, if you go around the town and things like that, I think you would observe the tumanats, those fruits. I know we export a lot of fruits from South Africa, such as bananas, oranges, nuts. We have seen an influx of nuts from South Africa, and some of them are even going as low as 2 kwacha, 3 kwacha, 5 kwacha. All that can also be attributed to the fact that our local currency is performing quite better. So when you export something, the price is good and people can afford fruits. Fruits are very important, even for the growth of your children. If you cannot afford to take a fruit on a daily basis, at least do that after a day. Ensure that fruit.
Exactly. Let's call it up a hospital. But anyways, in case you are just joining us, we are discussing the decision by the Electoral Commission of Zambia to use the constitution to bar BOWMAN LUSAMBO and MALANJI'S from recontesting their seats, which were nullified, I think, about 2 weeks ago by the courts of law. And this is the discussion we are having this morning. As of yesterday, 24th of August 2022, Late afternoon, ECZ issued a statement detailing how and why they have decided not to accept the nomination papers for these two candidates from the Patriotic
There's something that has attracted my attention on this particular subject. This is a subject of discussion this morning, so the program is open for you to call and make your contribution. But there's something that
we want to talk to you.
Yeah, there's something that has caught my attention, Sharon. The Electoral Commission of Zambia, they knew about the Kabushi and Kwacha by-election way back, but they had to wait for a night before the nomination to release the statements and say these two can no longer contest. Why did the Electoral Commission of Zambia wait all this long to inform them that they do not qualify to file in their nomination? What could have been the problem?
Exactly.
Was this deliberately done by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, or maybe they had to wait for the right? Was it the right time?
Was it the right time?
The right time?
Maybe they were consulting. We want to know exactly what was happening. In case you have an upper hand and know exactly what happened, you can call us and let's have that conversation. You might as well just send us those text messages via our social media platforms at Facebook and YouTube as well. If you are watching us on those platforms, we will be able to read your text messages and let's get interactive. However, the Law Association of Zambia also is on firm ground, saying the court nullified the election and not the candidates, so they are eligible to stand. And Prudence, obviously you are aware, and the viewers out there, that Malanji's election especially is what most people are talking about and using as an example, because according to the court, he did not have a grade 12 certificate, hence him hence them really nullifying this election. But then pali nomba limbina kwato umuntu grade 12 certificate. Maybe the time that he was filing his nomination for the 2021 general election, which was around May, somewhere there, April, he didn't have, because he had entered probably for GCE and wanting to rewrite, and by now the results he had the certificate which he wanted to show in the courts of law. Because I remember when Miriam was consistently covering this story, she said Joe Malanji asked the court to allow him present a grade 12 certificate, of which they denied, you know. So really, where did he get that certificate? For me, meaning he wrote the exams, only that the time he was filing in last year, he didn't have that certificate, you know. Of course, he used crookedness, because probably they were in power, they were in authority then. But at the moment, if somebody has that qualification, why not allow them? I think that is the argument that the Law Association of Zambia has. We would have loved them to be here with us on the set, but due to other issues, they couldn't make it. However, we'll be talking to some of our guests online via call, and just to get an understanding of exactly what happened, which law are we following. Do we need a constitution that has one page saying Sharon Kalimbula is a woman? Not Sharon Kalimbula is a woman only when she wears a dress. And only when she puts on the trousers, she becomes something else. We don't want that constitution.
Of course, Sharon Kalimbula. But in case people are wondering what is it that we are talking about this morning, our reporter Miriam Kaimba filed this report with regards to the topic of discussion. Remember, this program this morning, we're giving you a voice to just call through and make those submissions and contributions with regards to today's topic of discussion. Remember, on the Copper Belt this morning, in Kabushi and of course Kwacha, on the Copper Belt, the people this morning are filing in their nomination, but unfortunately we don't know what the future holds. I wish we can just talk to someone on the Copper Belt who's actually on the ground to give us information of what is happening with regards to Joe Malanji and of course BOWMAN LUSAMBO. But what is it that we are talking about? We're going to zoom into this story that made headline yesterday.
Let's look at it.
After being confident of recontesting in the Kabushi and Kwacha constituency by-elections following the nullification of their elections, it seems luck is not on the side of former Kabushi Member of Parliament BOWMAN LUSAMBO and his counterpart, former Kwacha Member of Parliament Joseph Malanji. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has announced that it will not accept their nominations scheduled for tomorrow, the 25th of August 2022, on ground that they are not eligible to recontest following the decision by the Constitutional Court to uphold the lower court's decision to nullify their elections as members of Parliament respectively. In a statement released to Camnet, ECZ states that this is in line with Article 72(4) of the Constitution of Zambia Amended Act No. 2 of 2016. However, this statement has not sat well with the opposition Patriotic Front, who have already adopted the two candidates. PF Information and Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda says the released statement by the Commission is an embarrassment.
The statement from ECZ, first of all, it is bad at law. Two, they don't even have the locus standi to make declarations as indicated in that particular statement. The ECZ is not a court. It has no mandate or indeed authority to interpret the law and even come up with a position. The role of the ECZ is basically to scrutinize the documents as prescribed in the Constitution, which are required for somebody to be eligible to contest.
The outspoken politician has on several occasions alleged that there was a plot to block the two candidates from recontesting in the by-elections.
The UPND, through the ECZ, particularly that statement, they are treading on dangerous grounds. If the ECZ insists on such maneuvers, they are actually attempting to touch this country and put it on fire. Because you can't play with the emotions of people, as charged as it is in Kabushi, as charged as it is in Kwacha.
Meanwhile, according to a statement released by the Law Association of Zambia, it states that the two candidates were never disqualified from recontesting in the by-elections by the Constitutional Court. The Electoral Commission of Zambia set the 15th of September 2022 for the by-elections. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News. The Lumezi parliamentary petition is still being heard before the Constitutional Court, with the court Wednesday morning dismissing the motion in opposition that was earlier made to Lumezi Independent Member of Parliament Munia Zulu's application for review of the court's ruling not to allow him file arguments out of time. The Constitutional Court has quashed the motion by losing independent candidate in the 12 August 2021 general election, Zelipa Chisolo, on ground that she has raised arguments similar to the ones in the affidavit before court, adding that if such an application is entertained, it would amount to wastage of the court's time. The court has also urged parties to avoid raising arguments that have potential to delay the delivery of the judgment in the case. In the dismissed motion, Ms. Chisolo contended that the Constitutional Court, like the Supreme Court, cannot review its decision unless exceptional circumstances. But the Lumezi lawmaker cited Article 118, Sub-Article 2, contending that justice must be administered without undue regard to procedural technicalities. In this case, Ms. Chisolo has appealed against the Chipata High Court decision to uphold the election of Mr. Munia Zulu as Lumezi independent candidate. Meanwhile, the Constitutional Court has set the 29th of August 2022 as date for hearing of Mr. Munia Zulu's application on whether or not its decision not to grant him leave to file heads of argument out of time in the Lumezi parliamentary petition pending judgment. Earlier on the 20th of May 2022, the Constitutional Court had declined Mr. Zulu's application to file heads of argument out of time and was scheduled July 29, 2022 for judgment in the petition's appeal case. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Sharon.
Welcome back. Those are some of the stories that made headlines as of yesterday and still making rounds this morning. And one of them is what we are discussing this morning. We have a bit of a challenge with our calls. However, we are rectifying the situation just now. But you can still continue to send us those text messages and we'll be reading some of them. Give us your voice on this very important topic. Is our democracy going to the other side? I wouldn't want to use that word that people usually use. You know, according to members of the public, we are discussing the decision by ECZ not to accept the nomination papers for these two candidates. Right about now, in Kwacha, that's Kitwe, and Kabushi of the Copperbelt Dollar, nominations are underway. They should be underway, I think, because this is
that's why we're saying let's get to hear from those who are on the ground. If you're actually on in the two constituencies, give us information of what is happening around. I know most of you are trying to reach us on our line, but we are having a little bit of a challenge that is being, of course, tabled right now by our technical team. But I can see a lot of comments on our different platforms, like our Facebook platforms. I'll have to read some of those comments. Keep them coming. This morning we are discussing what is your comment with regards to the Electoral Commission of Zambia's decision to bar BOWMAN, LUSAMBO and Joe Malanji from contesting in the upcoming by-election. Today is a day for the nomination. I know a lot of you are following us on different platforms, and I can see a lot of messages there. One that has made my morning is from Precious Rayman. That's her name, I don't know. But she says, good morning. My opinion is that I want to thank Soya Pieces Company for being there for us in these hard times like this. We are nothing without Soya Pieces. PCK from Chalala, Lusaka. PCK from Chalala, thank you for that comment. It is hard times indeed, and Soya Pieces are doing the job. Thank you so much for that comment. Another comment is coming from Clive Kateule Yombwe, who says, Imwe, just call him and find out if he has grade 12 certificate. Of course, he has a grade 12 certificate, and at one point during the procession of the court, he asked the court if he can produce that before them, but the court denied him, considering the fact that he did not do that when he was filing in his nominations in 2021. So he does have a grade 12 certificate, but the question that still stands is he eligible to contest for this by-election? This is the debate now that is there between the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the Law Association of Zambia. Stephen Siwale there says, Constitution is clear and it's only that PF members are arrogant. Of course, that is Mr. Stephen Siwale's opinion. Abraham Chilufya there, quite a lengthy submission. We appreciate PF made the Constitution. It's not a good statement. UPND is in office. UPND is in office. Does it mean that every law being made is a UPND law? It was their time to drive, and it is UPND's time to drive the Zambians. We need to understand governance. The Constitution is Zambian and not PF. What UPND is doing is for Zambians, not for UPND. ECZ should be above politics. It was necessary for it was not necessary for PRR to issue that statement. Good day and good luck to would-be successful candidates. Indeed, the Patriotic Front, we are trying to see if we can get a call from Mr. Mundubile, and of course someone who's on the ground to just see what is the way forward. We've been trying to reach them since yesterday to try and understand what is the way forward today, considering that the Electoral Commission of Zambia did not inform them all this long, only to tell them a day before nomination to say you are not contesting for this election. I remember we had an interview with Mr. Mundubile on Sunday, and we asked him that question to say what happens if at all the Electoral Commission of Zambia decides not to allow BOWMAN and Malanji to contest.
We were prophetic. That was a prophetic question,
of course. And he denied, saying we have no substitution because we have already confirmed ourselves, we've read through the Constitution, and we are confident that the two will be allowed to contest. That was, of course, Mr.
He said we do not even want to entertain that thought.
Let's get to hear what you have to say this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello. Good morning. Please tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and go ahead with your submission.
Good morning. This is from
Please go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to just put a comment on the issue that I understand.
Yes.
Yeah, in the next point, Mr. Malanji, we think was notified due to the certificate. Mr. He says you have a great certificate. My question comes in to say, then why did you think notified we did have a great certificate in the first place? So meaning, for him to be allowed to contest, there should be something there. And the people announced that because was assistant humanitarian to some of the district. And they told that we heard on TV that it goes, we produced that we go to district late. And when we know that on the ground right now, we are made by the fear for them. So it's not the UPND, it's not the UPND, you know, the UPND is not following the law. So let us know what techniques first. And then we don't want to try. And this would be a lesson to use for the other. The children know not to work in the future. There should be a good job. Thank you so much and good morning.
Thank you so much for calling us. You too out there can call in and have your say on this very important national topic, really. It's a national topic because today it's on the Copper Belt. The other day it will be somewhere else. So we need to actually discuss and see to it that we come up with a better constitution. I still stand with Topsy, really. You cannot have a constitution that has a lot of so many supporting clauses. Of course,
yeah, even contradict themselves. Because the Electoral Commission of Zambia is quoting a particular section of the constitution. The ECZ is equally quoting a particular section.
Is quoting another section.
Yes, LAS, that is LAS. And other experts, governance experts, McDonald Jipenzi yesterday also quoted a particular segment in the constitution. And of course, the viewer there, Mr. Mulega from Solwezi, says the law was made by the Patriotic Front.
So let
the
them
constitution was not actually made by the Patriotic Front, but there were some amendments that were done during the time of the Patriotic Front administration. And the UPND, of course, has equally proposed the amendment of the constitution. Let's just take part in making our submissions with regards to what we need to see in the constitution. The problem is citizens most of the time will shun away from participating in governance issues and leave them to a few politicians and only those who are interested in politics. Let's not do that. So right now, there are consultations that have been made around the country. Find out where they are being made. Go there and make your submissions. What is it that you want to see in the constitution so that we can have a constitution that speaks to everyone? Do not leave national matters.
A constitution will never speak to everyone, but it should be a consensus.
Of course.
Let's pick this call. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is from Houston.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes. You see, when you look at this matter on the platform of marriage, you are not going to give me a fair interpretation of these laws. You see, the Law Association of Zambia is a very competent body to interpret the laws that we have in this nation. It is from the lawyers that the judges are elected. That's what we have to know. Now, this is a precocious way of interpreting the law. It is not the right way. It is muddy. It is hate. Why only the two people, Malanji and Honorable LUSAMBO? Why? It's something that's happening. There is a clandestine movement from somewhere who is propagating a sex and marriage over these two individuals. Brothers and sisters in this nation, please, I implore you to be wise. You must not be the children of the foolish ones. You must be the children like of Issachar who understood the time. You must understand the time in which we are now. You must understand those who are on the head of leadership in our nation. What kind of the people are they? This is the head, my sisters, the prudency and the Sharon. This is the head. Malice. There's nothing there. When you look at this guy who calls himself here, he's not a lawyer. He is not a lawyer. Zambia. You cannot argue with Mr. Lusamba, who is the chairman of the Law Association of Zambia, who are competent to interpret the law of this nation. He's not a lawyer. He's just riding on the platform of the earth and man. We are not foolish in this level. We are able to see what is happening. Thank you very much. I implore you, as look at this matter, my sister, look it with wisdom. Thank you very much. God bless you.
So much.
Mr. Mkuma there from
Livingston.
Of course, speaking passionately about these issues. He's saying learn to observe the times that we are in, and of course this is one of those periods which he says people need to open their eyes and see what is happening around. But of course, let's get to hear what others have to say with regards to today's topic of discussion. Why, especially those on the Copper Belt, we want to know what exactly is happening on the ground. And of course, we will be calling one of the journalists from another institution, of course, who is on the Copper Belt, to just give us a feel of what is happening around that area for those, of course, who are not filing in their nomination this morning. Sharon Kalimbola.
Just to tell us how the situation is on the ground. Obviously, it's a hive of activity. Those that are very excited from the United Party for National Development, they just feel this seat has been given to them on a silver platter, because for them, really, they feel Dule winner, you know, because our biggest contenders have been stopped from from filing in their nominations.
Of course, we've also been trying to get in contact with the leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Munduvile, to just get a feel. I know on Sunday he did mention to Camnet TV that they have no substitution because he was confident. Of course, he was confident that BOWMAN, LUSAMBO and Joe Malanji will contest. But yesterday, the Electoral Commission of Zambia waited all this long only to inform them yesterday that they are not contesting. So we want to find out what is it that is happening. So those on the Copper Belt, let's get to hear what you have to say with regards to today's topic of discussion. And of course, the Law Association of Zambia's argument with the Electoral Commission of Zambia.
Indeed, Prudence, let me just go through the statement as it was issued yesterday by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, where they said, we wish to state our position on the eligibility of the candidates whose elections were nullified by the Constitutional Court and thereby causing vacancies in the National Assembly. This position applies to nominations scheduled to be conducted tomorrow, that is today, the 25th of August 2022. The Commission, in line with Article 72(4) of the Constitution Amendment Act number 2 of 2016, will therefore not accept in board nominations from any candidates who caused a vacancy in the National Assembly. Electoral stakeholders should take note that the above positions relates to National Assembly elections and not local government elections. The Commission further wishes to urge stakeholders to acquaint themselves with the two recent judgments and constitutional provisions on eligibility of candidates who cause a nullification on the vacancy. So according to ECZ, a candidate who causes an election, a vacancy, is not eligible to stand. So LAS also further went on to issue a longer statement counter-reacting to what ECZ says.
I think what is important is what is on paragraph 4. When you
please read it through.
Regarding eligibility following nullifications of election as determined by the Constitutional Court in the matter of Lusambo versus Kanengo and Ano, CCZ section A19 of 2021 and 2022, ZMCC 13 on 28th of July 2022. The question of whether a person can recontest is dependent on whether the court is not only dependent on whether the courts not only nullify the seat but also disqualify a person in which a petition in such a petition. According to the Constitutional Court's decision in the Law Association of Zambia versus the Attorney General 2021 CCZ/0051, where this issue was addressed, the court stated that a nullification of a seat by the court is distinct and not the same thing as disqualification of a person. Our perusal of the decision is that Lusambo versus Kanengo case reveals that the court merely nullified the seat without disqualifying Mr. Lusambo in the election petition.
Indeed.
That is according to the Law Association of Zambia. Their argument is that what the court's decision is to nullify the election and not Mr. Lusambo as a candidate. So in this case, the Electoral Commission of Zambia cannot disqualify Mr. Lusambo from contesting. Let's get to hear what another caller has to say this morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, so on the line to the viewers out there, we have McDonald Chipenzi, who is Gears Initiative Executive Director. He has issued quite a number of statements regarding the eligibility of BOWMAN Lusambo and Joseph Malanji. Obviously, they're supposed to file in their nominations today, but according to ECZ, they've been banned. But before that, Mr. Chipenzi had actually challenged these two candidates, saying if they go ahead and file in their nominations, he's going to see them in court. Mr. Chipenzi, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What is your reaction over this? You must be excited that ECZ is supporting your move.
Well, I'm excited that the constitution is being respected. And that the rule of law is being respected too. Because we cannot have a country that claims to the constitution of democracy and the rule of law, and at the same time, glossing over criminal provisions in the law. So I'm excited and seeing that the institutions of governance were now respecting what governs us to bring law and order in our country.
Mr. Chipenzi, what gives you the confidence to say Mr. Lusambo and Mr. Malanji are not capable or rather are not in the position or eligible to contest for these by-elections?
It's because of the provisions that are in Article 72, which guides all of us, and also the sitting members of Parliament, on how we have to put the Constitution. In this case, the court did make a decision after the determination of the petition that includes the two or the three or whatever did not need to we are not elected properly, and they nullify the elections as now and then, which means that they have to support their position as members of Parliament. And when you read Article 72, somewhat 2, it provides avenues under which a sitting member of Parliament can vacate or create a vacancy in an office of the member of Parliament. And one of them is the decision of the Constitutional Court. So the fact that the Constitutional Court decided to nullify the result of the elections of the poll, it means therefore that after the 74 is someone which clearly states that anyone who causes the vacancy under the avenue A, B, C, and X and many others is not eligible to contest the election during the life of that Parliament. So with that, we have given the impetus and the confidence that the two and the other whose elections were notified by the court, they will not be eligible to stand again. And above all, if H does not apply, then C must be applied where the of conduct. And the prescribed code of conduct is a constitutional issue as provided for under Article 54 of our Constitution and also in the Legislative Act. So when you read the code of conduct, the prescribed code of conduct, it means that you cannot stand again when there is a first election in that life of balance.
Mr. Spenzi, the argument that the Law Association of Zambia is advancing is that it was the election that was nullified and not the candidate's disqualification. What does this mean?
No, I mean the Law Association of Zambia is correct. The court did not qualify any disqualified anybody. And they just clarified. Now, when you read the text, it does not say that the council disqualified anybody. It says a member of parliament creates a vacancy or disqualifies to the member of parliament by the decision as a result of a decision of the Constitutional Court. I believe I did some English also. When you say as a result, is it the same as disqualified by? No, it doesn't. It says one is disqualified by the decision. So in this case, the decision of the court is to nullify the seat. Okay? And now this nullification has created a vacancy. Okay, this decision by the court to nullify a seat has created a vacancy in the office of the member of parliament. And therefore, because this has created a vacancy, the Constitution is as substantive that what the court says you are disqualified as a result of this decision. And because you are disqualified as a result of this decision, you cannot contest the election as provided for and as Constitution 4 and as Constitution 6 as before. So, as much as the law is incomplete, the law also puts how the decision of the court, which does not explicitly say disqualification disqualifies a person from contesting their seat.
All right, Mr. Spenzi, we have so much confusion, really. We have so many articles that support, others don't support. What sort of country do we have? What sort of constitution do we have, really? Especially when it comes to elections. There's a lot of disparity here.
Of course.
All the time there's an election. We bring out these articles that people don't even understand. A section of society understands this article. They're moving it. What sort of constitution do we have?
No, we have a constitution that is like the issue the Constitution of men in the book of Opatana and other places. That's the constitution we have. Men are confused. Women are confused. Young people are confused. Boys and girls are confused. The leadership is confused. Political parties are confused. Everyone is confused. Issue the confusion of men is the constitution we have. Now, look at also the judges are confused. Because when you look at the ruling of the court, especially in the challenge that we are putting to Zambia, this 4 hours was not good. Where we were challenging, where these people won't be elected were not found, but to continue to be in the office and the law looking for an appeal. Because when they cannot disqualify, but they can clarify. Okay? And yet, what they clarify, it means that these people vacated their seats. And yet, 72, after 72, does not provide any avenue that create a vacancy because of multi-purpose. So what is provided for in the Resident Property Act, where after the termination by the court, the seat of the election is nullified, is actually in contrast with the provisions of Article 22, which does not put multi-purpose as a means to vacate your seat. So effectively, constitutional court to nullify the position of the Electoral Process Act that creates a vacancy out of the nullification. And by virtue of the court upholding the nullification and creating a vacancy, then Article 72(4)(8) is to provoke and something greater, and then 72(4) is also the someone and start the two guys. And this is it. Therefore, it's on time for them down to uphold the position of Article 74. So this is that.
All right, Mr. Shpenzi, as we wind up to the Zambian people out there, especially those on the Copper Belt in Kwacha and Kabushi constituencies respectively, what is on the ground? Do you have anybody, any observers there from Gears?
Of course, Gears is a respected party people election, and in any election, we have people in Longo, we have people in Kabushi, and we have people in Kwacha.
Okay.
So all the three by-elections that constitute a constituent, we have put our people. So if we need more information and what is happening here, we'll be able to share the contact so that we are able to get what is on the ground.
Please share so that we can get to know what is happening on the ground as at now. Maybe the PF wants to bulldoze themselves into the nomination center. Who wants to know those things?
The law cannot be bulldoze. The time of lawlessness is gone. Now is the time to stick to the law and to respect the institution. If we agree, we will go to court. And we only have a new now for the agreement with the court. So let's go to court. Then you see how the court studies and not put on yourself. What has natural process, read speech, and come to the court of law. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Shpenzi, thank you so much for coming through. We will definitely be calling on you even tomorrow just to see the outcome of today. Thank you so much. All right, there you have it. That was McDonald Shpenzi, our all-weather friendly and friend rather, who comes on board every time. He's an interested party actually when it comes to elections. Governance expert.
And of course, he has spoken to Article 72 of the Zambian Constitution. Of course, I am not an expert in that area, but from what I heard, he mentioned the fact that the article mentions that whoever causes a vacancy, in this case for a by-election, does not qualify to stand. That is the constitution that Mr. Shpenzi there has quoted as the reason why they feel BOWMAN, LUSAMBO and Joe Malanji do not qualify to recontest in these by-elections. While the Law Association of Zambia on the other hand has argued, saying that the law of course only stipulated that the vacancy was nullified by the court and not the
elections were nullified and not the person being disqualified from recontesting their seat. And Mr. Shpenzi really, when asked to say what sort of constitution do we have, he says it's a confused constitution.
But also Sharon, there is something. If you look at the Law Association of Zambia and what they've quoted so far, they've not quoted any article in the constitution, except they've said what was nullified was the election and not the people. Candidate. But according to the constitution, if you cause a vacancy for a by-election, you do not qualify. So I don't know where we are finding all this confusion. If at all, the constitution says if you cause a vacancy, you do not qualify to recontest. But on the other hand, the LUS argues and says, it is because the court only nullified the election and not the candidate. I don't know if that maybe is in the constitution, I don't know, but that is what the Law Association of Zambia has said in this case.
Indeed, Prudence, very, very elaborate there from our guest, online guest, on-call guest, Mr. McDonald Chipenzi, always bringing us this information. But we just want to remind you that you can also have your say from the comfort of your zone and give us your contribution on this important topic. That was our guest, Mr. McDonald Chipenzi. You can call in and respond to some of the things that he brought out. He actually insists that these people do not qualify. However, he accepts that our constitution is confused. Because, you know, it's a confused constitution because it has articles that support and those that don't support. But what happens, Prudence, is when you have such a thing, things will go the way of the people that are in authority. If you have something that does not stand, clearly state, no ni no, yes ni yes.
Let's get to hear what others have to say this morning. Vincent from Solwezi, please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, madam. I think madam has not to contribute because ladies are in dilemma. The law, they are saying to interpret the law. Because the people say, sometimes who caused the sucker? I can ask the question, who caused the direction you are having today? It's the former Uganda and Malawi. So those people, they are not willing to understand. How come the people they like to allow them to stand? Now, the people who the direction. So let us consider people, let us interpret the law accordingly, and let us talk to God for our position. We have good people. We will not do as we know, as the top of the law. Let us allow them to stand. We are not miserable. This is people straightforward. We want to make it no. This is now right time people to go the position. They cut the rules according to the faith. The position according to what LUSAMBO and the MALANJI'S, then the considered and now that they are not position according to the constitution. So they cut the rules according to the faith.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vincent. They are from Solwezi. It's good to know Solwezi is watching this morning. I think we've received 2 calls from Solwezi so far. And, of course, good submissions they are coming out from that. Let's get to hear what others have to say with regards to today's topic of discussion this morning. What is your take with regards to the Electoral Commission of Zambia's decision to not allow BOWMAN LUSAMBO and Joe Malanji to recontest?
Joe Kabushi. New name there, maybe. If you give him that name, he will be able to sneak into the nomination center and follow him. Joe Kabushi.
Yeah, maybe, perhaps. Yeah, Joe Malanji there from recontesting their seat because they caused the vacancy in the 2 by-elections. And, of course, a lot of submissions have been made. We heard from a governance expert there, Mr. Donald Chipenzi, who defends his decision. Remember that Mr. Chipenzi earlier this week mentioned that if the Electoral Commission of Zambia goes ahead and allows them to recontest, he was going to petition them this Friday in the courts of law.
Exactly. He actually said we'll meet in court and was warning the Patriotic Front from against abrogating the Constitution. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Rose.
Your line is not very clear. You said you are?
My name is Lloyd. I'm calling from Ndola.
Yes, nice one, Ndola. Tell me you're calling from Kawoshi.
No, I'm calling from Chifobo.
Chifobo.
But I'm sure there it's near Kawoshi, and you have the feel of the air around Ndola of what is going around.
Yes.
Give us your contribution, please.
Well, I have listened to what the arguments are. the constitutional provisions, those are express constitutional provisions. And what the court said is case law. So the court only come in when there is a gap in the constitution. But then the constitution is just what? If you cause a violation, you are not going to stand. So there is no argument. So if a person has caused a violation, and then the constitution says you are not eligible to stand, it doesn't matter who you are. It's the law that says you will not stand. So if you agree, you go to the court, and then the court is checking a gap in the constitution. You go to court. So the issue is about going to court. If the issue, they are only saying what is written. They are not interpreting anything. They are only saying we are following this. That's the thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dola, representing there. We also want to hear from other people from Dola, especially those in Kavushi. Let's get to know. I think the other time we had this discussion, Prudence, when his election was finally nullified. We had this discussion with Patrick here on State, and we had people from Kavushi actually calling in and saying, if we're not in BOWMAN, but then what happens in this situation? We want to hear from you, the people of Kavushi, as well as the people from Kitwe, really, Kwacha constituency, and see to it what is happening. And also from the Patriotic Front, have they found substitute? Because that's women in the fiati. If you know,
and the Election Commission of Zambia says
exactly
you can't.
This
but
is a game. Of course.
You have to look for plan B.
Plan B. There's always has to be plan B. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and your contribution.
This is the
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we have the problem with the 80% and the constitution.
All right. Why do you say so?
What I'm saying is, this is the constitution. There's politics involved. So this thing, I think, the constitution has to be done. And the change, it's better we put different people from different stakeholders. And we will get it, the issue belonging that institution. And this, that when one person pointing, when he feels they are targeted for person. No. That will be big confusion every time we are elected. Because this is not the first time. It has been seen. And consciously that makes the constitution. Is it the citizens or there are other people? Because this is not fair. They are saying those who call it, they are expected to not to stand. What about those who petition? They didn't call the director. Yes, also they should be stand, not to stand. Because they are the ones that we expect to petition. So we have a very big challenge here in Zambia. It's better we change all those who are waiting for it, and we build a new process here.
All right. Thank you so much. Valid point there. Actually, I thought about it. No, I thought about it. You know, I was like, no, much to the petition. Literally, I think everybody in this election should not be allowed to contest.
No, I like that point because it says the Constitution states that those who caused the vacancy. But remember that those who took their colleagues to court are the ones who've caused this vacancy. So where do you put guilty them as well? But remember, the law also stipulates that if you are aggrieved over certain issues, you take them to the law. So the two were aggrieved with what they saw, or what they rather termed as election malpractice. So they took it to the courts, and of course a court made the decision. So we need a provision equally for those who take others to court. What is the
measure for them? Because you know it will keep on going in perpetuity.
Yeah, of course. I'm trying to just get some of the comments, Sharon, that are coming through from those who are watching us online, our online viewers there. We see you and we appreciate the contributions that you're making on this program this morning. There are Masha Kamponje says, how I wish the law could allow them to stand so that PF is finally sent to the Lusaka Museum. That's the comment there coming from Masha there. And of course, Maimbolwa Kamanga says, Adam Wada boss, go and read the Constitution for yourself. That is a comment that is responding to some of those who are following us online there. Lackford Piri says, it's because they are not used. Seeing such rule of law in our current land, raising the standard of politicking. That is Lackford Piri there, also making their contribution with regards to the topic of discussion this morning. Mwale Kalin so there says, afraid of them, that's the only issue, nothing else. Even a mad person can understand this. He says perhaps maybe those, I don't know, maybe it's referring to those in government, or they are scared of BOWMAN, LUSAMBO and John Malanji.
That has been the notion. That has been the notion from the Patriotic Front. Actually, the interview, we keep referring to the interview that we had on Sunday, just last week, this week actually, where the Patriotic Front said they had no replacement for these two candidates, and they were not even entertaining the thought of having a second candidate, and they had fully understood the provisions of the Constitution and the law abiding or surrounding these two candidates, and these two candidates were eligible to stand. We can only wonder what is going through their minds, or maybe they were trying to play mind games with us by not availing their plan B, you know, because I'm meant to understand that able lawyers really in the Patriotic Front, the Makebi Zulus of that world, the Tutu Anguluwes, the Mundubiles also is a lawyer really. You must understand these provisions, and you need to know to say, but
Mr. Mundubile did mention to say we've done background search, and we are very confident that BOWMAN and Malanji are capable of standing their feet to stand for that election, according to the research that they did, and they have no substitution for Kabushi.
That's why I'm saying, Prudence, to say, I'm now wondering if we were talking to a politician or a lawyer. Because, I mean, these are two different people. You know politicians, the way they behave.
Of course.
They'll actually stand on something that is very wrong and stand on the podium and say, this is right. You know, trying to convince you blue is black.
Of course.
they'll stand on the podium and try to convince you, no, this is black. No, sir, but this is blue. We have studied, we have done our experiments, we have done our what is that kind of experiment we used to do in science? Litmus test. This is black.
When you just mentioned
when
that,
it's blue,
it gives me a very interesting. You remember when we were doing those practicals in school, and you are writing your exam, and when you're doing yours, you look at your friends, it's showing yellow, yours is showing green. And you're kind of wondering, what is it that you've done wrong? I think this is the situation we are having now, where others, like the Law Association of Zambia, is interpreting the law. On the other hand, the Electoral Commission of Zambia is equally interpreting the same law. We are all looking at the Constitution, but others are seeing a black color, and others are seeing a white color, others a blue one. So what's the problem here? Where are we getting it wrong? Do you think there is need for a Constitution amendment? In this case, of course, we know the United Party for National Development Administration has mentioned that we are going to have some amendment in the Constitution, and consultations have already begun to take place. So I would advise every one of us watching this program this morning
to take interest.
Look out in your area. Where is this exercise being done? Please go and make submissions,
especially the electoral laws. These laws really, to me, the laws that actually cause division, unity, and confusion altogether. Because you know, people that were, it actually reminds people of who they are and what standing they have in society. Like for example, the Law Association of Zambia, Nababuka, they've even begun to quote these articles and stuff. They are reminded of their role. because of this election. When you look at other people in the civil society who may not actually be friends, they are speaking with one voice, agreeing with the Electoral Commission of Zambia that these two candidates do not actually qualify. So that is the unity part. And the division part is where now ECZ, law, these are, you know, they're just confused altogether. But Mr. Spenzi clearly made it right. We have a confused constitution. Everybody else is confused. But is this what we need going forward?
Of course.
We surely hope that by the time we are reaching 2026, it will not be the case. Like it was in 2016, you know, the petition issue of 7 days. It was just confusion altogether.
Of course.
And others actually say this is the reason why we need a homegrown constitution, because our constitution is that which they describe as imported. You know, it's just been gotten from other countries. We don't fully understand the nitty-gritties of what we need as a country. We just say, okay, this document looks good, let's change one or two things, you know. But then, is this what we need? We need something. For me, really, a one-page constitution. Sharon is a girl, she's a girl.
There's no debate about
no
it.
debate. It's a boy, you know, it depends from the way you look at her. No, I'm a girl, please. I want that constitution.
Let's get to hear what others have to say. If you're watching this program, we are almost at the dying end, and we want to hear your comment and contribution with regards to the topic of discussion. What do you think about the Electoral Commission of Zambia's decision to not allow BOWMAN, LUSAMBO and Joe Malanji to recontest the Kabushi and Kwacha by-elections? Of course, today is the day of nomination, and yesterday, the Electoral Commission of Zambia broke the bad news that the two cannot stand
at all. What's your say?
Election.
What's your say?
What is your take?
What's
Also,
your
the fact
say?
that the Electoral Commission of Zambia knew this all along, but they kept quiet and waited for only the last day of the last day before the nomination to break the news, and of course tell Joe Malanji and BOWMAN LUSAMBO to say tomorrow you cannot recontest. Of course, the Patriotic Front mentioned to say they were confident, they read the law, and of course they were confident the two were capable of recontesting the seat, but unfortunately the Electoral Commission of Zambia just had
I don't want to criticize them. Maybe they were consulting. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Yes, I'm speaking.
Rev, how are you?
I'm very blessed, and how are you?
Permanently
It's been
blessed.
quite a while since we had you on this program. I'm saying it's been quite a while since we had you make a comment on this program.
Yes, indeed, it's been quite well.
You abandoned us.
us.
Nice. Your contribution, Rev.
Thank you so much. First of all, regarding the issue, the topic of discussion, if we shouldn't be there in the first place, but unfortunately we are where we are, and we seem to all agree that we have those lacunas in our constitution that needs to be thought about. But I think one thing that should be very clear in our mind very much is that we have you know, like the parent saying division of labor and responsibility. In this case, elections are managed by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. They are the body that is mandated to manage the elections. And I think within that institution, there are guidelines that are supported by either the Constitution or the Electoral Act that prescribe, you know, who does not center the election, who is eligible and who is not eligible for an election. So I think before we get into this balance that is going on, the live, these are so-called that the live and other players. But I think when it comes back to the management of the election, this is the thing that is mandated. So I think for me, this is my kind of opinion. Let's give the Electoral Commission of Zambia the space to manage this particular election. Everything beyond that, I think that is why these other institutions, for example, the first of all, to those that have a different interpretation and they still agree, each and every case, like the Electoral Commission of Zambia, this case comes to pass that they are not done, right? Then they can take the matter to the court of law, because when the court now, we have was at that stage, you do the work, so you guys have the work. So I think for now, for me, let's use the commission of Zambia to do what they are mandated to do. And this is that it can be first in themselves, and they do their own, position regarding the law. I think we should be able to respect that. Those that agree, if they take the other way, that is why, like that case, we have used the, institutions that are mandated to, take certain responsibilities. In this case, the law application of Zambia, I still call that they can give an opinion, but I feel people, those that agree, they just take the matter to the court. They are dedicated that particular legality. And this is the truth. They want themselves, that's why they keep pronounce themselves on the manifestation of these people. So the way that is in my family, that otherwise you can continue, having this debate on, the lacunas and so forth, just as I think we all agree that there are no lacunas. But then the Constitution also does describe what the mandate of the ECJ. These are the mandate of the first part.
All right, Rev, what's your thought on ECZ's decision to actually announce as late as yesterday, notifying these people that they will not be able to recontest their seats? Yes, their decision to tell them, isn't it too late for them to be told that you will not be able to recontest? The timing.
I think for me, this is my opinion, my personal opinion.
Yes.
Because there are guidelines that are laid down within the system of the ECJ. So for them to make a pronouncement prior to the nomination, for me I think that was too much. Because it was like saying to the salary now, I'm saying this what they put us down, let's allow those that are applying. It's just like any other, profession. So those that are applying, they see that meet the requirements or not. Then the institution of pronounce itself to say, that is the state that just meets the requirements based on APCC. So that's what happens after when people have submitted their nomination. Let's try to do that.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Reverend Manduli there, always listening in, always watching and following the conversations. Thank you, God bless you too. So there you have it. That has been a topic of discussion this morning, the Electoral Commission of Zambia's decision to use the Constitution, I'm saying use the Constitution, to bar the two parliamentary aspirants actually trying to recontest their seat. That is Joe Malanji and BOWMAN LUSAMBO, both from the Copper Belt. Today is nomination day, and obviously these two constituencies are a hive of activity, and the UPND is very excited about it. They've actually already done posters for vote for Shani, vote for Shani.
Yeah, but of course, keep tuning to Camnet TV, especially our Facebook platform. We are going to be bringing you updates of what is happening on the Copper Belt so that you have a feel of what is happening this morning. Reverend Manduli there was the last caller that we will occupy on this program this morning, even as we come to the dine-in, Sharon. But for everyone, keep glued to Camnet TV. Keep glued to Camnet
TV. Keep glued to our social media platforms. We will be bringing you live visuals, obviously, from the Copper Belt, just to see what exactly is happening up until they manage to file in an event that they don't or they do replacements. We'll give you those updates, we know, and understand that you trust us for nothing else but the very best of factual news coverage. And we will not disappoint on this end. We'll bring you those important updates. However, we come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Thank you so much for choosing us. On the other chair is
Prudence Chota.
Indeed. Good morning. Join us again tomorrow for yet another exciting show on The Breakfast.